everyone, it's Eva here. Today I have Anna Sulikowska, and we're going to see how Anna has used high-quality 3D visualization videos to communicate her vision to her clients. Anna, hi. Could you please introduce yourself a little bit?
So my name is Anna Sulikowska, and I am a Canadian architect. I'm a nearly licensed Canadian architect. I've been interning at various firms in Toronto over the last 11 years or so.
Wow.
And during that time, I sort of started developing my own practice on the side, but a lot of it has to do with actually working abroad and maybe Mexico and Italy. So, so that's kind of the introduction.
Wow, that's some really interesting stuff. So can you tell me a little bit what type of architecture you do and who are your clients and all of that?
Okay, so more on the corporate side, I've worked on various projects. A lot of them were very large infrastructural projects, such as subways or airports. I also worked on some schools, but the main bulk of work that I've done in Toronto, which is, by the way, where I went to school at University of Toronto, I've also done a lot of condos, and that's due because of the condo boom in Toronto, in the last, I would say, 10 years. So I was in Toronto during the boom, and a lot of the work that I've done was on various condos for various different firms, ranging from 14 stories up to 85 stories. Working with local developers, such as Tridel, for example. So the project varied from government to private sector projects. So my range of experience is quite vast from those 11 years or so working in the offices in Toronto. Yeah.
Wow, that's like a very, very different, very different types of projects you've done. You mentioned that you're hoping to move into foreign countries like Italy and Mexico. What type of projects are you hoping to do or planning to do there?
Well, I think I am going to focus on small projects, renovation projects, because I see a lot of opportunities in countries like Italy or Mexico. I've done one condo project in Toronto, and I think sort of that set up a lot of parameters for the scale that I like. So as sort of a female architect, I would like to start with sort of smaller project, not necessarily, go and design airports or anything.
Right.
But I am very interested in working on airports as well, because actually one of the projects I did want to work on is the airport in Mexico City, the project that did get canceled. But essentially, I am interested in large projects, but I think for my own practice, I like the idea of the small renovation type. And, the context is very important to me as well. So, designing in the beautiful countryside in Italy or in Mexico is definitely a value added to the project. So that's kind of the angle that I'm coming from. Yeah.
Awesome. And can I ask a little bit your background? What were you doing before you got into architecture, and what kind of drove you to become an architect?
Okay, so my undergrad, I actually did it in fine arts, and the school was in Vancouver, Emily Carr University. So it's kind of funny, but many of my friends, not many, but there were a few friends who ended up sort of picking up from an art background and transferring over their skills into architecture. And we all actually ended up at the same school without knowing that we all applied. so yeah, there was a lot of people coming from painting, sculpture background, and we ended up working at similar firms in Toronto, but many of us ended up moving out west again. And but yeah, the thing that always interested me in architecture, because I think it's the environment is very important for many different things. But like the idea of like healthy cities or just like healthy lifestyles, how design gets implemented into the everyday to sort of improve the daily living for people. I think, whether it's on a small scale or a large scale, it's very intricate and very interesting to me. I think I essentially am a problem solver. Like I really like design, but because with design you can solve a lot of different problems, whether it's like within a city or just within how do you like place furniture inside a room so that the overall quality of space and living improves. So that's kind of, these are always the things that I'm thinking of. And I think I'm always, like wherever I go, I'm always thinking about how, even if there's like a lineup of people, I think of, if that lineup of people would just move left or right, or if it was designed differently, the flow would always work better. Or, so I am like I just naturally want to sort of control or design environments so that they become more efficient or better. Yeah, that's the best way that I can explain it.
Awesome. Do you think that like your initial like willingness to solve other people's problems is like what you're trying to do with these smaller residential renovations? Like, are you trying to solve other people's like problems in their houses or?
I think that mostly comes. I think that the redesigning the houses or renovations is less about maybe the problem solving, but I mean it is that too, but also about just kind of like an overall vision of a well-balanced life, and where you have access to trees or beautiful views and such. But that's not necessarily it, because I've also lived downtown where you're just looking at buildings the whole time. Yeah. But you're always again trying to think of how a street can be better, not just by shutting it down and having no cars, but there's always like you can make a back alley, like a treed alley or something, where people can use that as an alternate route of transportation, or not transportation, but more like circulation within the city. But yeah, so it's not just the problem solving, but sort of like the aesthetics of it and just wanting to be in a nice, pleasant place. Yeah, so
that's great. A little bit about our collaboration and what we did. Do you remember how you found our service?
Well, I just remember sending a file. It was a Revit file to get very technical, but yeah, it was a Revit file, and you guys were able to translate it into your program. And yeah, and then from there, you did whatever you needed to do to sort of convey the vision that I had. Even because I asked for two different sort of scenarios. One, which is because the project is located in Canada, we have 10 months of winter and a lot of snow. So it's always nice to show like a swimming pool in the summertime, but we don't have that much summer, especially not in Quebec. Many different parts. So I asked for like, a rendering of a winter scene, and it's just so beautiful to see that project in a winter context as well. So that was like an additional thing that you guys did for me. I don't think it was originally going to be like that, but yeah, so it just really sort of the idea of like falling snow and the water and the sounds and just the visual are just so pleasant.
Yeah, and I can definitely relate to that. Being from Finland, the winter lasts most of the year. So I can imagine it's important to see the whole thing, not just from one point of time, but also what it looks all throughout the year.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So what did initially motivate you to choose us to do this visualization for you instead of somebody else?
So based on my experience and travels to Mexico, I've always admired Mexican aesthetic, the Mexican architecture, and I've looked at a lot of different renderings that were coming from Mexican architects and firms. And I think your firm, you guys were obviously willing to, work with someone like myself and just trying to do this tiny little project. And so that was definitely, and also seeing your work. So I really appreciate the approach and just kind of reaching out, and also like the overall aesthetic and that your, firm offers, as opposed to like other firms that I've communicated with. So yeah.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Can you tell me a little bit what were the results or the reactions of the client that you showed our work to?
So yeah, this was a private client, and I mean, she loved it. So, the idea of sort of executing the project is there, but we haven't pursued it further yet. But overall, I've been definitely using the videos to show people sort of what can be done. So in the future projects, I will definitely, use Prefixa as a go-to for renderings and videos, because not only do I know like how what the results is going to be, it's always very nice, but also like how you guys work. So but yeah, like everyone's always very impressed and thinks it's amazing. So
It's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so you use this material in like your marketing and all that. Do you think your like some areas of your projects and your presentations have improved by the 3D visualization?
Well, definitely, because again, it's just the rendering always is almost like it's a very attractive, emotionally appealing product to many different people, so they don't necessarily have to understand the layout and such. So yeah, the videos are definitely a great vehicle for sort of communicating with the audience always.
Yeah, awesome. And regarding other architects who are thinking of maybe possibly working with us, what do you think, what type of architects are a good fit for us to work together with us?
Well, yeah. It's a hard one because I think everyone has it's hard to break into some firms that already have their rendering teams, and the renderings can be how would I say it, the rendering decisions are made very quickly and they can change very quickly. So I think sometimes the firms prefer their in-house renderers because they know their style and they know their capabilities, and they know that they can, change anything right away because the person sitting right there, that's their desk. Although in COVID and working from home, maybe that's changed a little bit and now it won't matter as much. So from that perspective, yeah, it's really hard to sort of what I've always noticed is that it's like the immediate, like larger firms prefer their in-house teams that are immediate, whereas people who are kind of working on their own practice, they may tend to be a little bit more relaxed about how quick things get done, because the turnaround time can be, it doesn't have to be longer, but, sometimes it can't happen in like an hour, right? But in-house, it always happens so fast. So, but as far as like the types of clients, I mean, I think your company has tremendous potential, and I actually don't know much about like what kinds of clients you have so far, but I believe that I was trying to sort of send the information to some of my colleagues in the past. And again, it's, these are firms that already have like their in-house teams. So, but yeah. I don't know.
No, it's a hard question.
These are really hard questions. Oh my gosh.
Sorry about that. So can I ask, you said that you're planning on moving to Italy and maybe Mexico. Is there anything else exciting coming up in your business right now?
Yes, like I said, because I think my my business will be focused on like Italy, Mexico, where I can do smaller projects and where maybe there's less restrictions about some things. Working here, I am finding that even the smallest townships have strict rules and they like to tell you exactly what to do. And then you have to convince them and give them renderings or, beautiful videos to convey your vision. And then they change their minds. But, like if I have to go through that process of, putting in, I mean, there's nothing wrong with putting in a lot of effort, but I think the effort that energy can be used in sort of creating rather than trying to convince people how to, manage their, the building in their town or in their city. So, from my perspective, as someone just starting up their own practice, I've learned about facing challenges, which I can easily overcome. But I now value, for example, the work that developers do at convincing cities to do, certain things in order to have their projects completed or initiate their projects, et cetera, et cetera. So, so I think I am definitely going to focus on Italy and Mexico for now. And also there's more of because of the weather, you can, there's not so many limitations on like all the concrete has to cure, at that temperature. You don't even have to have insulation. So it just becomes all about the sort of the science of building and sort of assessing things like that. So I hope that answers your question. I feel like I'm rambling on again, but okay.
No, that's great. And I think, there's definitely a difference when you're designing a house for the colder climate than when you get to design something that's, you don't have to really think so much about those technical things, and you can actually just focus on the design itself. Mm-hmm. So that's really exciting. And one quick question. Do you have like a number one piece of advice for other architects that maybe struggle with communicating their vision to their clients or want to do it more efficiently?
I say use Prefixa. I say, don't, again, it's about how you spend your energy on, sure enough, I myself can do amazing renderings like I have in school. Like many architects are just so talented at Photoshop and, video and, but at the same time, where do you want to focus your energy at? Designing and making the vision happen? Or do you, would you rather just give that, the work of visualizing to professionals that can do a great job and even better than you can, especially with the audio and, just the whole nature and the context and sometimes adding, because architects also like to be a little bit realistic, sort of. I find that people who, have these hyper reality world sort of aesthetics also adds to, the final product, which is a little bit more amazing in many aspects than just an architect doing the work. So yeah, that's kind of what I think.
Great. Thanks so much for sharing that. Thank you so much, Anna, for this conversation. I really enjoyed talking with you. And bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Nice meeting you. And thank you again for all the work.